Good evening, all. My name mcfcfantv. How are we all doing? It is Monday night, and I hope we're all good. FA Cup fourth round draw time. But we'll start on that a little bit at the beginning. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit more of a serious subject tonight. We're going to have a little bit of debate, and I brought on some guests as well to come and join us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them in one by one as we normally do. I'm going to bring in the first one. Here he comes. Evening, mate.
Hey up. You all right?
Hey up.
Hey
The
up.
Yorkshire thing's catching.
It's Yorkshire. It's Yorkshire Fan TV. He's not here tonight, so I've got to keep up the... Take your time, Andy. You're paying me to be... Hey, he's the one who's running it, not me.
You all right?
I'm all right, yeah.
Stanley out, had a wee.
He has. He'll probably need to go for one shortly because my missus wants to go to bed. So I might have to nip off just quickly and take him out. But no, he's all good and looking forward to tonight.
Yeah. Next week, guys, we might start doing a poll of how long it takes Andy to go out and take the dog out for a wee. So I'm going to have 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, well, it is what it is. I'd rather take him out for a wee than talk to you.
Yeah, you probably get more. More
I get more feedback.
You would. Here he comes, my old mate. How are you doing, Mucko?
I'm all right, mate. I'm stuck in the conservatory. It's hammering down with rain, so if I turn my mic off, that's why. Yeah. But I'm all right, thank you. And by the way, Stanley's only got little legs, so give him a break.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit like Martin.
Andy. Andy's only got little. Say, which one's walking who, eh?
I was going to say, which one would be quicker, Martin or Stanley?
Don't bring me on today.
I know what my money would be on.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, a snail goes quicker than me now. They don't need a walking stick anymore either.
I was talking mentally, not physically, Mike.
All right, well.
Oh, so both then?
Yeah.
No need in that. Let's play next. And our final guest is one of our regulars. Carl, how are you, mate?
I'm well, gentlemen. Thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure. Good draw today for us.
Very good draw. Cheltenham away.
Yeah. It's rigged. It's absolutely fixed.
Well, as I saw it on Twitter earlier, which will take us a little bit tonight as well, but Sheikh Mansour did the FA a favour, so the FA have done us one.
And absolutely long may that continue. That's all.
Amen. Amen.
If it costs you nearly $750,000 just to get an half decent fourth round FA Cup tie, my God.
I'll take that.
What we're paying if we get into the quarters and the semis.
Whatever it takes, that's all we do anyway. So yeah, just paying whatever it takes.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you some hellos, and then I will tell you what tonight is all about. PS4 Kid Packs, hello, how are you? Ivor's done his 60 million. You'll like City love 60 million, don't we? Harry Costain, like and subscribe. Thank you, buddy. Charlie Everett, Yorkshire Tractor. That'll be this week. He makes his debut. Adam Quinn, hi Andy.
Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hello there, Zagon. How are you, mate? Noah Pearson. Hello, lads. No joke. I'm normally expecting a joke underneath there. Have you run out of Christmas crackers? Have they all been used up now? Evening, everyone. Dippers and Drags and Meltdown. It's the petition. It's the petition out, yeah.
Won't be long.
Hi, Andy, Martin, and Chris. And if anyone else comes on, no, it's just us for tonight. Andy Mills, evening. How are you, buddy? Hope you're good. Leonard, evening, mate. Said he just bought another trophy. Kex O'Neill, hello, mate. How are you? Andy's rubbing his hands with glee. Hey, you know, my quad might not be so stupid after all by the end of this, you know.
Well, as long as we buy it, I don't care.
Queen versus King. Hi, Carl. Carl,
Hi, Cal.
Carl, I think he means Carl. Gabby Carter's finishing his top class, says Chrissy Rodriguez. Dudley Lewis, hello. Bardo Oaks, hi all. Kex O'Neill says we don't care who we play. Charlotte, evening, guys. I'm listening to the Smiths at the moment, so this better be good, boys. Oh, it's going to be a good one tonight, I promise you. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to talk about tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about something completely, anything will put you in a better mood than that. All right. Do not listen to the Smiths.
You know what? It's a band me and Ivor have spoke about on so many occasions, and they just, they've never been a band for me. I know everybody loves them, and I know I just couldn't. I don't get it. But then, the people have got a much better music taste than I have. But no, just could never ever get it.
Oh, dearie me. Well, tonight we're going to go in talk about something a little bit different than our usual football talk. Why are you laughing? All right. I'm trying to get this going, and you two are just.
Sorry.
Well, how do you?
I do apologise.
We're going to talk about something a little bit different than our normal football talk, as in who's signing, how did he play, things like that. We're going to talk a little bit about the changes we've seen from not just opposition fans, from our very own fans. We're going to look over social media. People have said, some people who've never been to every ground like Old Trafford, things like that. We're told with no history, blah, blah, blah. You know the old adage and everything else. And Andy, earlier on, in our brand new, well, it's not brand new, it has always been there, community tab on our channel. If you go over to the Man City Man TV main page at the front, so if you log into YouTube, click on homepage of the channel, there is a tab that will say community. And Andy threw in a lovely question today, which I'm going to bring up on screen for you right now. It says, as you can see, join us tonight for an interesting live vlog at 10 p.m. Here's a question for you all. Do you feel that Twitter accounts contribute to genuine football debate? And we actually had quite a large response to this. We had
that screenshot is from a number of hours ago. It's been a lot more.
Yeah. But it's roughly about the same sort of level percentage-wise. At the time, it was yes, they are knowledgeable about Man City, 14%. And then there was no, they don't even go to Man City games, so why even bother? 24%. And then there was, I can't take anything seriously if it is on Twitter, which was absolutely landsliding it at 62%. And I don't think that's changed very much as we've come on air. So, before we get going into the questions, any thoughts on that, boys? Surprised you? Has that surprised anybody in terms of those results?
No.
It didn't me. That's why I added the third. It was originally just the first two, but then obviously. But I did make a comment in there. Somebody raised a question, and I said, you know what? For the sake of impartiality, what I should have said was, and also maybe a fourth one: do fans listen to fan channels like ours? I saw JSGC and a few others made some comments saying there are some great fan channels out there, but there are some appalling, abysmal ones, basically. And I'm just paraphrasing. So it pretty much is horses for courses. So, some is great, some are great, some are absolutely abysmal, and I think you pretty much get that with Twitter. But I tried to phrase the questions towards what tonight's debate is about. Is we've seen an awful lot, and I think people do get people get really angry at Twitter in particular. Twitter's the main one, football Twitter, about some of the comments that are made by so-called City fans who have quite big accounts, but some of the stuff they come out with is, you know, it's just like, it was like, I'll give you a prime example. Was somebody posted, and I'm not having a go at these people, that's fine, do whatever you want on Twitter. But somebody posted a picture last night of a City player. Now, if I said to you, ponytail, centre back, left not so long ago, who would you say?
Michaelis.
Right, I posted a picture of Di Michaelis. I didn't even have to show you the picture. Going, and it was all this reps if you know who this is, and it was like, what? And I only left about 3-4 years ago. Well, how old are you? I replied back, well, maybe if you're 10, you might not know, but that type of garbage. And these people have got like 20, 30,000 followers on Twitter, and it's like, it drives me mad. It drives me absolutely barky mad. Hence why I put that poll on there, because it's like, it's so tedious. It really is sometimes, Twitter.
I think for me, guys, there are some things I see on Twitter that come from City accounts. You're like, what the hell is this? This is garbage. This is BS. But they get likes. They get retweeted so many times. For me, I think the only thing to take a little more seriously are the Twitter accounts with the blue check mark, especially when it comes to politics and maybe some football accounts. That I give them some credibility. Everything else, I kind of take with a pinch of salt, frankly, including myself. So, yeah.
Oh, don't we all? I mean, you know, I tend to go on it for a bit of banter and things like that. I don't tend to the odd thing that if it's people asking, can you tweet this because it'll help promote a charity, and can you do? I'll tweet it, but I tend to go on there for a bit of banter with opposition fans and taking the piss out of each other and that type of thing. I don't tend to go on there making it all serious and things. I find it weird. What?
I'm like, Chris has just thrown a comment in the comments that I don't understand where it's come from. If swimming is meant to be good for you, why are we so far? It's
actually, that's quite good, actually.
That?
Yeah, it's for Noah, really.
Oh, is that me? Have you been borrowing his Christmas crackers as well?
Oh, yeah. I like Noah's joke. Maybe they go down well. Not.
I tell you, it's like joke time in my classroom. I'm telling you now.
I'm going to use that.
Good one, Chris. Right. Chris, have you got any? Was you surprised by any of those? Because I think you're massively using it. So
That's an understatement, mate. I don't like it. I really don't. And the only reason I go on Twitter, and this is genuine now, is to read what Ivor's put on today. You know, that is the only reason, because he's the only really funny bloke on there. Everyone else, wow.
Yes, Pardo, it is a topic we're going to explain. We've got questions that we're going to ask everyone.
It is.
It is serious. Right, well, let's get into it then. Let's start carb jokes aside. So I'm starting to come up with some questions for the panel. So question one is going to be quite simple. In your opinion, why has football rival become so toxic lately? And does social media play a big part in this now, or is it social media a good way for fans to communicate across the globe? So I wanted to sort of pose, is it more of a, are you going on with your jokes, you liar? Social media, is it just a place where people throw their toxic garbage at you, or can it be used as a good place to communicate with fans? Because remember, City are now a globally embraced club. So who wants to go first on that one? I'll go with you, Andy. Right,
don't go to me.
I can start if you want. I think that in the era of cancel culture, which is fueling the toxicity of social media. I mean, look at politics, for example. What's happening with politics, right? The rise of the ultra-conservative madness that we see around the whole world, right? We look at various radio programs in the UK, whose main job is to wind up fans, right, and spills over to social media, right? Before social media, fans, okay, you take the mickey out of fans, they're rivals, but there isn't this abuse or this constant, continuous 24/7 toxicity we have right now on social media. It's social media is supposed to be a form of good, but it has become toxic to the everyday discourse that we have across fandom, across different clubs. Maybe it's a non-personal relationship you have on social media. Maybe it's a media bias. Maybe it's a radio toxicity, but the dark quarters within social media that we need to be aware of and really take with a pinch of salt when we engage in these platforms.
Sorry, Carl, you were just sort of in and out a little bit there. I don't know if it's your connection or what. Was it just me or thinking that? Or
it was a little bit echoey. It's normally perfect, but it was a little bit echoey.
Yeah, that's all.
I'll get my headphones on then. I'll go get my headphones.
Yeah, that's probably what.
Okay.
Yeah, my point on that is, and I hate to say in the older days and things like that, but yeah, we could talk about that because it was pre-Twitter and social media and things like that. Is you generally have banter at work. You generally have banter in the. You generally have banter down the pub and those type of things, where you were face to face in conversation with those opposition fans. That was generally where it took place. So if you wanted to be big and brave on Twitter and all this type of nonsense, you be as big and brave with your comments to another person face to face in a pub or whatever. And I just think a lot that still happens, obviously not at the moment, but it still happens around the country in pubs and wherever. But now it's just faceless people. A lot of the time, 99% of the time, I'm guessing people don't actually meet the other people that they are talking to on social media. I reckon it's a very, very small minority that actually know the other people they're interacting with. And when you meet in an environment, it'd be interesting. One, I'm guessing 99%, and this is just a total guess. I'm throwing random percentages out here. I reckon if you met 99% of them, you would be extremely surprised that, one, they are probably 30, 40, 50 years younger than you, or, a completely different idea of who they are to what their persona is on social media. Now, the difference is with fan channels like ourselves and many, all the others and things, and a lot of people on Twitter, and some people on Twitter, I should say, not a lot, is that we put our faces to it. So our comments are here. We do it at the grounds, we do it, away grounds, we do it at the Etihad, we do it outside, wherever we are broadcasting from our homes, we put our faces there.
Yeah,
to be shot at. And it's really easy for people on social media just to hide behind a moniker, an avatar, and whatever it is, and come across like they are sometimes adults, when in fact they're not. They're children or teenagers, and yet they come across on Twitter like they're 25, 35, 45, whatever, and in fact they're not. So I think there's a big shift. I'm not saying that Twitter and social media is wrong, because I think there is a lot of positives to it, but it does connect fans across the world. But I would be very, very surprised if 99% of some of the comments that I made on Twitter surrounding football, those individuals would actually say it face to face to that person that they're talking to. I mean, you only have to look at language and, the biggest thing for me is, oh, you're a nonce, or you're not, to me. I mean, though I have had that in the past, but this word nonce and you're this, that, and you're thinking, I know you're probably about 13, 14 using that type of language. I know you are, because it was words that my kids have heard use and things like that, So that straight away, when people use that type of terminology, you're a kid, you're a teenager, you're whatever. But I just don't think a significant percentage of the comments that I made on social media would be made if they were face to face with the other person, like we used to do, or have done, or didn't do when you were face to face with other people. So I think that's the big thing with social media for me, and that's why it turns me off a little bit with social media, because you just look at it and just think, here we go, just like garbage.
Well, especially with you, because you've got, I think, 5,000 odd followers, which is quite a lot for social media, and even your sort of.
Yeah, I've never been bothered with it. I don't publish, my figures on, but yeah, I don't know what I've got. I think I've got just over 5,000 or so followers. But it's irrelevant. I don't care if I had 2,000, 1,500. I'm not really that fussed about it. But and I've lost. I lost probably 1,500 followers after the Rabbing whole garbage nonsense. And there was a prime example of Twitter. With the Rabbing thing. People clueless, absolutely clueless about what they were talking about, but suddenly they'll take one person's side, or they'll just gossip and whatever else. And yeah, for me, I use it probably 5% of what I used to use it a year ago. I mainly sort of post Man City Fan TV stuff, or to people who I know a lot of the time, Ivor in particular, that I know well, and things like that. But other than that, I don't use it anywhere near like I used to use it, because for me, most of it's garbage.
Chris, how do you feel on it?
Well, I think toxicity within football in general has grown throughout my lifetime, right? Because I was a child born in 71. My dad, who was a Blackpool follower, right? But being a Buxton lad, he went to watch Manchester City one weekend and Man United the weekend after. And I think that wasn't because he liked football. Your grandmum did that as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
It wasn't unusual for people. Some people in Manchester go and watch both clubs because it was fairly cheap to go and watch a football match. It's
well,
not
it was support Manchester. You sort of supported Manchester, didn't you?
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
My dad and my uncle used to follow him. They only stopped doing that when they started taking me in 77. Prior to that, they used to, in the 60s, follow City and United, whenever they could, if they weren't working.
And again, why wouldn't you when you've got Best Law and Charlton
on one
exactly. side and Bell Summerby on the other? You think if you love football, why wouldn't you want to go watch two great, footballing sides like that? And then, then I think, I'm not sure how easy it was for people back then to go to away games. A lot of people didn't drive.
Yeah, exactly.
It was expensive to get on the train, I suppose. And then the football specials came, and then hooliganism came on the back of that, and then things really changed because we're talking just a ridiculous time. We went to football matches back then, and people chucking darts at each other from in these pens. It was a very toxic time.
Yeah.
And I think then really when all that happened at Hillsborough, and there was a great debate about getting fans out of these pens, something else changed in football was when some of the big clubs, including United and Liverpool and Spurs, decided they wanted a larger slice of the pie. And that culminated in the beginning of the Premier League. And with that, Sky's money brought in players from abroad that we'd never seen, like Gianfranco Zola, who was just a wonderful footballer to watch. But they were cropping up all over the Premier League, and it became a global product then. And for Sky dishes to sell, then they needed the Premier League to do well to bring the players. They also needed two clubs to be doing well in that, throughout this, because Manchester United and Liverpool, whether we like it or not, are the two big teams of England, and they're the ones who sell the dishes globally. We're slowly getting on board with all that now, but social media has just escalated this toxicity to unprecedented levels in my eyes. And I think it is what Andy said. It's just people sat, never having a face-to-face conversation, thinking that they can tell you, some 50-year-old kid in Bulawayo can tell you that you're a plastic and there was no club before 2008. It's just like, come on. That's why I just don't bother with it. I just think that it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I think, there's a lot of criminally uneducated people on Twitter who just spout a load of nonsense.
Carl?
No, I think you guys are right. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Good, much better. Yeah, I think you're right. I think social media has played a part, but also with that is some of the radio stations you have around sports in the UK, even in the US. They fuel the toxicity by having these wind-up debates across their platforms, and you hear it on and off, trying to sell players to another club. The player makes a mistake or manager makes a mistake, they denigrate the manager. It creates toxicity, which leads into social media, which leads to the behavior of people. So I think they're all culpable. Social media can be a force for good, right? I saw the whole Marine ticket sales thing, virtual ticket sales thing, which was fantastic, right? It's funded the club for years now. And even for the Cheltenham, I'm looking to even buy a virtual ticket to help the club, right? But it can be a force for good. It can also be a force for evil, creating hatred, fractionalization of populace. It can be terrible. So it's when we think about the whole cast situation, last year, the hatred, the vile, not just from fans of clubs, but from the media and some journalists, was incredible. Guilty without even a trial. And that fuels a whole social media platform, that fuels a whole hatred, which is kind of where we are at this point in time. So, do I like it? Yes. Social media. Do I have I noticed a change in my own behavior based on what I've heard and written and seen? Yes. Do I question myself if I should stay on social media? All the time. All the time.
Point. That is a great point.
I ask myself all the time, have I changed from the time I started using social media till now? And the answer is yes. Have I changed for the better? Not really. I've actually gotten worse. So do I reevaluate how I behave and what I say and what I do and what I write? I have to. If not, you go down the rabbit hole where there is no end. So it's a tough one.
Going to bring up a super chat of Alan. Thank you very much, mate. When I watched Social Dilemma on Netflix, never watched it, believe it or not, but I have heard a lot of things about it. I deleted a lot. Thank God I did. Now I have a life.
It just talks to Martin all the time now via WhatsApp and on his phone. That's no life, mate.
I think I saw that. My missus watched something about social media. I think that might have been where it was, and it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I know this is the Daily Fail, but if you go and read yesterday in the Sunday Mail, if you go and read Douglas Murray's, Douglas Murray, I'm open to say it, I'm a fan of Douglas Murray and his books and podcasts and things like that. I think he talks a lot of sense. But he wrote a brilliant article in the Sunday Mail yesterday, all about social media and Trump and everything else, and all about the way the likes of social media networks are completely grabbing us in, and just they are the ones. And if you read it, go and search it, Douglas Murray, Sunday Mail yesterday, go and read his article. They're very, very interesting.
Great point. I believe stay on social media. I can't do. I mean, I'm going to say, I think Twitter. I never used Twitter. I'll be honest with you. Before, I did have an account. I got more involved with it since joining the channel because I think it's a very good platform to communicate to all of you lot.
Yeah.
Just to let you know we're going live. What do you want to talk? I think that's a very good way. And I've met some people, and you don't really know them. You don't really know anyone you're really talking to on Twitter. It's but
listen. I'm not saying I don't like Twitter, and Twitter's the devil and everything else. I'm not, because otherwise I wouldn't use it. And I would say 90% of what I use on Twitter is banter with people that I've got to know on Twitter, the likes of Ivor and many others. A lot of it is not football related. A lot of it's just a bit of banter about some post somebody's done, like a Facebook account or an Insta account, things like that. It just absolutely drives me mental when I just see these stupid tweets like that one yesterday, and thinking, what, you're at, and you know they're only doing it just to get clicks and likes, and it's just repeated over.
It's the famous bug.
If it's D Michaelis 1 hour, it's somebody else the next hour, and you're just thinking, who are these people who actually reply, going, yeah, I know who it is. That means reps to me, and just thinking, it's like pulling teeth. It really is.
Martin, there's a distinction between the local fans and the non-local fans, especially in the past 12 months, in terms of social media use. Some of us who are new want to connect with the local fans, want the experience. And so when we don't go to the stadium, we watch it on TV. You just go to the stadium, you get home, you talk about it. We want to participate in that experience. And the only way to do that is by looking at social media. Unfortunately, that's the only way we can really connect with the local fans and see what they say, hear what they say, experience it. So there is a...
I'll let you explain that one, Carl.
Me?
Yeah, you blocked Kiam.
I didn't.
You did? You didn't
No,
know,
I didn't.
You know it was in?
Kiam is one of my favorites. How can I block Kiam? No, impossible.
Kiam doesn't come up as Kiam on social media, mate.
Okay. Oh, is he the one with the crossbows in the skull? It must be him.
No, that's
Anyway.
Blue Maniac.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, but
He
yeah.
was
So
pulling your plonker over Joe Biden.
yeah, that
No,
would get
it
me
is
wound
now.
up. That would get me wound up. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just a way for us to really try to connect with the local fans and experience what you guys experience. We don't have the luxury of doing that. I mean, I travel to Etihad once or twice a year, costs me loads, but you guys go every single week. And the absence of football and fans, the only way to connect with the local fans is through social media at this point in time. You know, so.
Well,
I've got a question to you on that point, Carl.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I've got loads of friends, connections on Twitter that are people all over, like yourself and Akio and loads of people all over. But do you think some overseas accounts help themselves in the way that they approach social media?
I don't think so.
I'm steer away from the generic stuff now. I'm talking solely about football Twitter and things, and City accounts and things like
that. There's some accounts. There's some accounts in the US I know who are really good with social media and City. There's some that are really credible. They seek to understand the local fans. They seek to understand the history of the club. They generally have good tweets and good perspectives on football matches in particular. They hate United. They hate Liverpool. They understand the essence of what it means to be a City fan, the US ones. The others, I can't comment too much. There are some that are just way, there's some who just don't know what they're talking about. And there are others who seek to learn, who seek to understand. So,
okay. Well, sorry, Martin.
We'll go down that road in a minute. But I'm going to move on. Like I said, I've got a set of questions. It isn't just going to be about social media. It is also going to be social media, just the tip of what we're talking about tonight. It's going to be more about questioning football fans as well as our own fans as well. Not questioning, but debating about, some of us changed, have we changed and all. But question number 2 is, since obviously the takeover in 2008, City and the fans, we've all been subjected to horrible attacks from governing authorities, other clubs, the fans. And some would say the media too, if we're going to be honest. Let's all be honest. We've all accused them of it. Is it part and parcel of being successful? Or would you say there's something more sinister going on? Are we just hated? Or is it just a case of the green-eyed monster going on here? What do we all think? Go on, Carl. I'll come to you first.
Okay.
Everyone's like, Who
Well,
do you want?
One of you go. Oh,
Well, I mean, no one likes the new kid on the block. No one likes new money, especially if that money comes from a certain part of the world. That's the honest truth, right? If it comes from America, maybe comes from some organization in Boston, or it comes from some organization in LA or Las Vegas, that own football clubs, NFL clubs, maybe it's okay. If it comes from a PE firm that buys Burnley, okay, maybe we can look over that. But if it comes from a certain region of the world, all of a sudden there's human rights issues, right? Why? Right? I mean, we just witnessed, our owner buying the first FA Cup, right? Not just for the city, but for England. Could have gone to Australia. That cup could have gone to Africa. Could have gone to Zimbabwe. Could have gone to Nigeria, right? Kept it here, and yet you hear nothing apart from a few tweets and a few articles about it. Why? Why is there such hatred for a club that's owned by a certain person from a certain part of the world versus another club that's owned by private equity firms, owned by people who have 500 million pounds in debt, right? That leverage a club for assets, right? And have massive amounts of debt. While the other club has invested in the local community, revamped the whole East Manchester, created jobs, facilities, world-class facilities. Why? And zero amount in debt. Are they just foolish? Are they being sinister? Or is there a tinge of racial bias in this? For me, I tend to think all three. Doesn't make sense to me.
Under.
It's like I'm going over 1,000-year-old ground with this question.
We have talked. I know you've talked about this.
I've talked about it 100,000 times. I've done videos on it and all sorts of stuff. It was interesting today talking about social media. It was somebody who pointed out something that I came across, and this is why, on occasions, Twitter can be for good as well, because it can highlight things and go, oh, didn't know that, didn't know this, didn't know the other. Go and check that out. It was a podcast going back to last year, and it was to do with it was Nick McGeechan, it was Ewan McKenna, Miguel Delaney and Sam Lee, and they were the original Twitter tweet was basically saying, I cannot believe Sam Lee ever went on with those three scrotes, basically, as we all know what those three accounts are like against City and human rights and whatever else, and what they've said and done. So I thought, interesting, I don't remember this one. Anyway, I went searching it and found it, and I was actually listening and making some comments to the original tweet. And I must admit, I listened to it, and oh my God, I mean, some of the garbage that they were coming out with was frightening. I mean, the fact that Sam Lee, who's supposed to be City's athletic correspondent, actually said and stated, and his first words were basically, and I paraphrase, no, I don't know any issues that Miguel Delaney has basically had on social media with City fans. I was like, fucking hell. Where have you been living for the stop burying your head in the sand? It's like, I don't want to start off with oh yeah, well, I've read all the 1 million tweets about Miguel Delaney and you and all this. He just went, oh no, I don't know much about it. Straight away, I'm thinking, I should have turned this off. That is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
No surprise.
I carried on with it, and then the rest of the diatribe was just, it was human rights this, and it was the last tweet I think I posted to the guy who originally, sorry if I'm not giving you a shout out, I will let me just find it, because I hate quoting people if I'm not giving them a shout out, so people can go follow them or whatever it is. So let me just see. I want to be clear.
While you're finding that, I'm just going to ask Sean O'Connor, because he's asked
sure.
3 times now.
Absolutely.
We'll be able to get Messi to the Etihad. Yes, I do think you would be able to get him here, but doesn't mean that we should buy him. But we're not talking about Messi or anything tonight.
It was Man City Oracle, Pete. That's who it was. So at Man City Oracle. That's so if you want to go over and follow the conversation. And it got me interested. And there was one point here, and my last tweet on the thing was, just finished the podcast. It's like 2 Irish, 1 Scottish and 1 United fan, all coming up with anything that will tarnish City's owners. It's embarrassing. The fact Sam Lee went on it and swayed towards their wrong assumptions that City did something wrong. It's embarrassing. Remember, this was pre the CAS announcement. This was just before the CAS basically exonerated Manchester City. And they were all, even Sam Lee went, yeah, I think it's not going to go in favour of, and all the others were.
Hang on, sorry to interrupt you. That one you sent me today, that wasn't from this week?
That wasn't from this week. That was from pre.
Oh, wow.
That was from pre the CAS announcement.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that was from. I sent Martin and Chris the link to listen to the Spotify podcast. Yeah. But one of the biggest ones was Ewan McKenna claiming City fans will be pissed off with the club being hijacked because of the good old days of following City when they didn't win anything. Now, I don't know any City fan who has ever, on social media, except for if it's a joke or something, saying, you know what, I'm really pissed off. You know, post-2008, I'm really pissed off that Sheikh Mansour's come in and took our club away from us. I'm really, really angry about it. You know, and all these trophies we've won, I'm just really pissed off. I want the good old days of us winning nothing. I don't know anybody who has ever said that as a City fan. But this is the type of garbage that the media have just started. To be fair, since they blocked 99% of City fans, all three of those accounts, then you know we don't really hear from them anymore, which is a saving grace.
Sam Lee went on a huge banning spree as well today.
He blocked me a year or two ago.
Alan again with another super chat. Thank you. The media hate us after they were made to look stupid in the CAS case.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Thomas Ato, thank you very much for your super sticker. So Al and Thomas, thank you so much. Chris, what do you think? Since the takeover, is it just green-eyed monster, or is there something a bit more evil going on?
No, what Andy said there about fans who, the only person I know of was like that was Colin Schindler, who was the author who wrote books about City. He's the only person I've ever heard say that. But yeah, I think the more successful you get, mate, the bigger target's on your back, isn't it? That's the truth of that.
Yeah.
And there you go. Here's one of them now.
Yeah, there's a class. You know what I mean?
There's your prime.
That's not what we're talking about. He'll be about 10 years old, past his bedtime.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's hard not to believe there's some sort of agenda, you know. And this comes from the top. You know, FFP was introduced solely to stop us and PSG from moving up all the best talent and having domination. You know, the latest person in the media is Ian Dark, having to announce after every time he says a City player's name how much they cost. You know, but it's true, isn't it? You know,
supermarket's sweet with him.
Yeah. I think we are painted as the bad guys, you know, and that we broke the rules willy-nilly and we only got off because we hired a bunch of expensive lawyers. You know, I mean, we're not the team who gets minutes added to ensure title victories, or unfathomable amounts of dodgy decisions, or a penalty nearly every game. You know, that's blatant favouritism. It's in your face. But no one ever talks about it. It's just laughed off, you know, like Fergie time was laughed off as sort of like, it's just a tradition that we uphold. It's the same as we give United a penalty every other game, you know.
Or board members appointed, or ex-board members appointed to the FIFA board and the UEFA board and everything. You know, just
it's never talked about.
No.
You know, and I think I think if everyone just took their blinkers off, and this is all football fans, you know what it's about. It's about money. You know, it's about Manchester United, and it's about Liverpool and teams like and the teams in Europe, the big teams in Europe as well, hoovering up all the money, all the success, and that's all it's got to do with. You only have to look at the Hateful Eight last season. You know, they pushed the boundaries of decency in my eyes. You know, by asking for what they were asking for. And I think, you know, what really upsets me about it all is that Sheikh Mansour, you know, has done so much for Manchester itself, you know, and it's never really given the credence that it should be done. You know, what he's done is astonishing. You know, I just think it's a concerted effort to marginalise us. And I think their ultimate goal is for the Sheikh to pack his bags and leave. I really do.
Yeah, agree.
Well, their ultimate goal, you mean? Yeah. Not his, not our owner.
Well, I mean,
Because he ain't going anywhere.
I'm going to say, did he just say the best thing to do is pack your bags and leave?
No, I think
that's what I was questioning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I think that's what the ultimate goal of it all is, because we're not wanted at the top table.
No, he just keeps turning up the temperature on his hob and keeps boiling more piss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was about to kick Chris off then for that comment. Get out, make love. I've had enough for you.
That's why our question's going. Do you mean our own, or do you mean what they want?
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's what the not just the press. This is the whole thing. It's hard for me to believe. I mean, we've had people on the Empty Seat show. I think it was Simon Hill actually said that he doesn't think there's an agenda against City, and I know he works for the press and he lives in Australia, so maybe it isn't so prevalent over there. But I find that quite interesting.
But to be fair, Chris, you hit on the point. I was just going to say, all the people I've spoke to, and I spoke to quite a number of journalists, DM'd messages and things, and Jonathan Northcroft is somebody who I do respect, and I've interviewed him outside the Etihad. I've spoke to him. He's been on the show a number of times. And he's somebody who I do respect because he is honest. He's open and honest, and he's always been down there. I do think there are elements of things with the ownership and the UAE and things like that, human rights issues and all that type of stuff it doesn't sit well with me. But I try not to bring that into the football debate, and I don't think us as journalists. After we had the video with him, he said, actually, I don't think we should be bringing this into football debates and things. I really don't. But I said the same thing to him. I asked that same question, and I said, do you honestly think, please be honest with me? Because for us, we know there's an absolute City. And he said, I can assure you, everybody I know as journalists don't have an agenda against City. And I said, I can't believe that. I really can't. It's either very coincidental, but it just doesn't come across that way. And he went, well, I don't have an agenda against City. City are a team I've followed for decades. He said, I have followed them for decades. So I don't know. I really don't know. But I do think there are certain journalists out there that definitely do have an agenda. There's no doubt. Here's a prime example. I went through. I don't think I've got the video, otherwise I would show it. And I meant to put it on Twitter this morning, and maybe it's changed now. But this morning I do my usual thing. I get up, have a cup of tea, and I'm just scrolling through all of the tabloid, is there anything that jumps out? Blah, blah, blah. And I was looking through the Daily Mail, the Sun, the Star. I was looking through all of them just to see, is there anything that jumps out? Because for Man City Fan TV, we've got to keep up with what's being said about our club. And people say, why'd you read the Mail? And well, we do it because we need to keep abreast of what's going on out there and things like that. But I got to the Daily Mail and I went through it. And I was actually looking for which journalist had actually reported about yesterday's game. And I wanted to see their match report. Was it Jack Gorn? Was it whoever it was? Was it Martin Samuel there? Or who was talking about the game? And I went through it and went through it again. And he actually took a video on my phone of me like this, scrolling through the Daily Mail, looking for the match report. Wasn't one single thing about the game against Birmingham City on the whole of the Daily Mail's football website. Not one single thing. And I've got one, but it was my wife was wittering on in the background, so I couldn't put it, or otherwise I was going to put it on mute.
She's not watching, is she?
Not one. She just bollocks me anyway, so it makes no difference. It's only another bollocking. But not one. That goes to show you. And people might say, you're paranoid, you're this. There were like 20 articles about games today, games today. One single article out of probably 300 that are on that page about Manchester City's game against Birmingham. Not a single one. Not one. Nothing. I thought it was me, and I went over it about 8 times, and I filmed it, watched it back, filmed it, watched it back, filmed. Nothing. Not a single thing. Now, Isn't that a bit weird?
Well, I'm going to mention a couple of names. It was funny because when the COVID incident happened against Everton, Georgia Bingham, who we all know and we love her on Twitter, she doesn't work to TalkSport or anybody else that I know of anymore. Don't know why, her business. And I used to always listen to her on TalkSport, religious to that, quite a good, knowledgeable person. She was always on. No, I always doubt thoughts. But then, after obviously the David,
if you're into golf, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, after the David Silver incident, and I can't remember that. He was the guy who came on the channel with you,
John Dillon.
Which leads me nicely into my next question. Actually, John Dillon and Jonathan Norcroft, I will give them props for doing what they did. They manned up and they came on the channel. John Dillon said something very silly about David Silva.
Jonathan Northcroft didn't man up because, I mean, all he was doing is come on. He did nothing wrong.
No, but I mean
John Dillon.
No, I meant John Dillon, really. Now, Georgia Bingham, as a field day against Manchester City, day, night, and every other, she just hates the club, hates the fans, and everything else. Same with Simon Jordan and everyone else. We're just not liked, which I've always. But leads me that. Should the media be doing more things like John Dillon, coming on and explain? We've always said for years that referees should be going out and explaining the decisions on camera. And why can't some of these media people do? I mean, John Dillon made a big boo-boo, but he manned up. He came on the channel and he went, "This is why. I apologise if it got misquoted or mistaken out." And, I think we'd have more respect. And I think it's got to be a two-way street here because we're on about social media. Well, a lot of these journalists, blue tick merchants, as Carl says he listens to, are on social media. And they can spout whatever they want, whenever they want, and whenever they... Even some city journalists do it. I know Simon Bajowski, who generally is quite good, he said some things where I've thought, hang on, what? What are you talking about here? And I just... Do you think the media could help themselves and do like the like of John Dillon and come on and explain themselves like we beg referees should be doing?
I think times have changed massively for print media now. I think it's finished. It's dead and buried now. And the only way, as what we talked about before with social media accounts, the only way you can get 20, 30, 40,000 followers and things like that is if you're controversial.
Correct. They won't come on, Charlie. This is the point we're saying. They won't come on.
No, they won't.
Well, it's not their financial interest to steady the waters or calm the waters. It's not in their financial interest. It doesn't get them clicks. Doesn't get them revenue. It's all about clickbait and revenue at this point in time. The more clicks you get, the more you're rewarded. You change the reward system, get better performance. They won't change. Now, maybe in 10 years' time, when we become, the mega super club that we aspire to be, and we have more following, maybe then they'll change. The interests then are different. But right now, they won't. They won't.
Chris?
Well, you know my opinion on journalists, mate. Clickbait merchants.
Hey, listen, if I put anything WhatsApp to these two, we've been linked with this guy, and Chris goes, "Where have you heard that from, son?"
Yeah,
I just get shut down within 5 minutes. And Andy's loving it up there because the pair of them, you want to see how, you'll never see it because trust me, we couldn't put half a lot on there up.
Even here in the US, right, you notice on certain channels that we watch the Premier League on, when Liverpool lose, they're so disappointed. It's like somebody just hit them over the head. So the world is over. Whenever City lose, it's front page. It's what's going on with Pep. What's going on there? He's leaving. Players are not happy. What's going on? What? Seriously, it's that bad. Whenever Liverpool, United lose, it's like the world is over. It's like nothing else is happening.
I'm actually going against everything I've been saying here because I'm going to quote social media again. This is only because talking about it, and that was this morning. I posted on here, and it was an article, and it was actually an article in the Daily Mail as I was scrolling because I look for articles and anything that's interesting to debate. Not all the time, City stuff, but it was an article called "Sports Agenda: Sky's homage to Thiago lifted from LFC."
Send me that this morning.
Send it to you. And it basically the article was. If I open up, unless they might have deleted it now. Oh no, they haven't. Mike Keegan, of all people, Mike Keegan. And it basically says, those who tuned into Sky's coverage of Liverpool's Monday night trip to Southampton could be forgiven for believing they were watching the Merseyside club's in-house channel, because they were. A gushing homage to Thiago Alcantara, who made his first start since October 17 in the 1-0 defeat, was lifted straight from LFC TV and broadcast to the nation, leading some to question the broadcaster's wisdom and impartiality. He was sometimes accused of failing to get rid of the dead. Well, no, that was about Wenger. So basically, what Sky had done is lifted a whole montage from Liverpool's own in-house channel, and shown it on Sky over a Monday night trip to Southampton. And it's like, for fuck's sake.
Thiago's hardly played all season. He's been injured.
What is that all about? I mean, what? And we can't even get our match report in the Daily Mail.
It's true, Andy. I mean, it's funny you say that. I mean, I remember getting on the train. I used to have to get the train to work when I was down south, and I was only probably about 20. So I used to stop at the paper shop and pick up the Sun on a Monday and read the football thing. But you know what? There was nothing. There was nothing about the game in it. It was the age of the player, who he was shagging, that sort of stuff. You know, it was just like, what am I spending? What am I spending my money on? You know, but you know, I don't care about journalists coming on and having to defend what they say. They do their job for one reason, that's to sell. You know, and that's papers or to make money on clickbait. You know, that's all they're there for. You know, all I want from a journalist is consistency, honesty, and impartiality. And I know that I'm asking for too much. You know, you get the odd one, a Martin Samuel, who will come out and take another view on things that the rest don't. But I know I'm asking for too much, mate. And I don't really pay him any mind these days whatsoever.
I think Kurt's asking us this question, unless it's in the comments. I don't know. He's asking, why is anyone bothered about the media? Nobody respects or trusts football media, whether it's football and politics.
Fair point. It's an interesting question, which, if we move it on, Martin, since we've been nearly an hour now, does it affect fan opinion?
Well, yeah, this is the crux of where we're going to tonight. Like I said, we're not just talking about social media with amongst against City fans. We want to talk about, has City fans changed as well? Have we changed? Or some of it's changed, some of it's not changed. And I'm going to ask a question now, which basically, I'll just get my notes. I have actually got it here. I have it all in there. With Manchester City, obviously, we're becoming very, very global, as you know. And we've become a brand. Is it viewed differently in this country to how it is around the globe? Because the likes of you or me, or I don't ever, maybe it's me, maybe I'm an old-fashioned sod, even though I'm still 21. I never view us as this global brand and huge thing. And I see a lot of social media, and I see a lot of blues against each other, because they have different opinions or something else. But is it, yes, City become a global, massive thing, and some fans haven't moved on with the times or get with it, or I don't know. You know, Andy, where do you stand with that? And we've got Carl. Carl, he's abroad. It'd be great to have his opinion on this.
Yeah, I mean, well, as you know, I work overseas when I'm working. But over the years, I have been known to frequent a few countries in my time, and I have done for the channel. I've done videos with the Dubai Man City Supporters Club in Dubai and things like that when I've been out there. And I've been in Azerbaijan and spoke to City fans and met up with those in Azerbaijan. And There are City fans all over the world. There are. Are we as out? I mean, let's put one thing to bed. Are we as big globally as the big names, your Uniteds, your Liverpools and things? No, of course we're not. And that's nothing to do with history. It's to do with success, of a time frame of success. Liverpool in the 70s and 80s in particular, and then United being a massive Premier League phenomenon for whatever reason over the 90s and the early 2000s, and they were the Premier League, or Premier League in particular, brand has been massive all over the world. It has been, which of course everyone watches the Premier League. It's the number one league in world football, so everybody watches it. If you've got a TV, you can be in a desert somewhere, as long as you've got an aerial and you can get a connection, you can watch the Premier League free of charge, unlike the people in the UK. So you can follow the team. So in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, there were two main clubs, or three maybe if you include Arsenal, and then we had the transition with Chelsea. So that early stage, you had three, maybe four clubs that were global around the world. If we're talking about the Premier League, forget Real Madrid and Barca and things like that, but it's only about us. And since then, they've built up such a massive global fan base that this is where the animosity comes in, when people who have followed City from 2008, let's say, onwards, or just before, or just after, or whatever, and decided, I don't want to follow the usual Uniteds, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, whatever. I want to follow somebody else like Man City. So now what we've got is that fan base growing globally, but now there's these fans arguing with these fans. Who,
that's the point. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's I guess it's a natural evolution. We won't see it. We won't see anything different for another 20, 30 years.
Super chats for disappearing off my screen.
Well, they won't disappear unless you click them off.
No, because obviously, you lose out them, don't you, if you scroll up too much. You lose them. Alan, very quickly, news on Fox Sport in Australia. Reporting City when the Mirror or Sun slaggers off, e.g. the Cass case was reported in Australia, and City get let off, but were found guilty with a £10 million fine.
It's Fox News. What do you expect? It's Fox.
You said that, by the way. I don't know if you know, Alan. You've sent that twice, mate. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, mate. Go on, Andy. Sorry, I was losing you. Say. No,
don't worry about it. You can always just click the two little orange bits at the top, and that'll bring them up, mate. So what you've got is a fan base there, aren't you? You've got this generational fan base that have grown up with Liverpool as their overseas fan base. You've got Arsenal, United have always been there, and Chelsea, and now City are joining that group as well. So you've got this newer fan base with newer fans that have joined the existing fan base, and they're all arguing between each other. But sometimes most of it is garbage that they're arguing about, and it's, I don't know.
Well, when I'm on my way to the Etihad by the pub, Man City are not a global club, they're just there.
Okay, so if I may, so as a baby of the lot, if you would, in terms of following the club, probably 12, 13 years now, as Andy mentioned, this is natural. There will be a natural tension between the old fans who've labored, who know the city, who've been there, and the new fans who've come with success, and all they've known is success. That's all they've known. They've watched beautiful football. They've watched goals. They've watched us win Premier League. This is what they've known. Versus the old fans who've been through the rut, who know what it's like to be a City fan from all age. And there will be that natural tension. It's bound to happen. I always say respect.
Are you talking about City fans within City fans, or are you talking about?
I'm talking about global, both the local fans and the global fans. So the new fans
of City of City.
Right. So there will be that natural tension. Because there's some fans who joined in 2012 who've just known nothing but success. It's not their fault. They're just looking for a club, and they just pick City, and then they love the club. They may not be born in Manchester. They may not follow the club in the 1980s or the early 2000s. Can't blame them for that. but they have to respect the past. Respect the past. Learn about the past. Learn about the club. Don't change your expectations. So when we hear about we don't win a trophy, this whole meltdown, right? That's all some fans know. Look at Barcelona. In Barcelona, if they don't come top or second, it's a meltdown. Some fans are like that. And unfortunately, that's the newer fans' perspective.
Well, there you go. There's either as big a man like you're me. My son is 17. He's a spoiled little shit. Only happy when we score 6. I want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had it with my son. I get my son, like I said, I was at games and Dad, why are we not 4 up after 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Because it's not FIFA, son. Shut up, sit
Yeah,
down.
no, but to be fair, Martin, your son's 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kid.
That's what you expect of kids.
No, but that's what kids are.
I don't think your son is the ones on Twitter giving it all.
No, I know that.
All the large stuff out to, to all fans, not just fans.
I thought you just said then, Carl, you said they just choose a club. I mean, is that where we're at now, where people just choose a club out of an hat?
That's what happens.
I'll pick a name out of an hat and bang, I've got Chelsea.
I'll give an example. Okay, so I'm a City fan. Never supported Chelsea. Never supported United. Never supported them. Wasn't interested. Right. All my friends were. My kids love City. My 4-year-old sings the bloody songs. Right. He didn't have a choice. He chose the club because I happen to support the club. Right. I don't expect him to choose Chelsea or United or Liverpool because that's not what he's surrounded by. My whole house is peripheral of City. That's the way it is. Why did I choose a club? Because I like disruption. Naturally, I like disruption. And in 2008, when the money came in, I was like, okay, hello, something's going to happen here with a club that has history, that's got funding. Something's going to change. And I wanted to see United and Liverpool and Chelsea on their ass with City on top. I wanted to see that. So for me, it's different.
Who's your local NFL team, let's say, that you support? Or
so
do you
Baltimore
support a local team?
Yeah, Baltimore Ravens, because they're up the road from me. They're about
so that would be like me coming in and just going, suddenly I want to support an NFL team, and I support you, Baltimore. What is it, Baltimore?
Baltimore Ravens. Yeah,
I have no interest in the NFL, hence why I don't even know. But Baltimore Falcons,
Baltimore Eagles.
Ravens. I knew it was a bird or something. So the Baltimore Ravens. So you imagine, I think, you know what? I'm going to fancy NFL. Oh, the Baltimore Ravens have got a load of money. Oh, these could, beat the Miami Dolphins still going and San Francisco and all those types of teams. And so from my youth on Channel 4. So I'm going to support those. But then I support them for a couple of years, and suddenly on social media, I'm giving it large about, what do you know? Where are you from? And I go, well, I'm from the northwest of England. What? You ever come and watch the team? No. So what? I could call you whatever else, and I'm entitled. It's like a flip of that sometimes that happens on social media. It's like we want overseas fans because we want global growth. I don't think you might get some people going, no, piss them off, get rid of them. Only from Manchester should support local teams and all that, which is nonsense. But they might say that to create an argument or debate. I think we want the brand to expand and around the world because that means we're more successful. That means more revenue. That means the club.
Right. I think the caveat. The problem. Go on. The caveat, Andy, is that if you're going to support the local club, take the time to invest and learn about the club's history. Take the time to understand
I'm not saying,
local fans, right? That's I for instance, I try to every year, except for the pandemic, to visit Manchester, not just the game, the museums, the people, because that's a club I've chosen now. That's what I've been affiliated to at this point in time. Will I ever be a Mancunian? No, I won't be. Okay. But in 15, 20 years' time, my kids will say, yep, from birth, I was supporting City. And they can claim to be at least a true fan of the club.
Oh, listen, I've got no problems with Jesus Christ. I mean, look at the overseas fans we've encouraged to come on this channel. We've encouraged constantly encouraged, like Avakio in Goa and everything, in you and loads of others. I mean, I've done stuff with the guys in Detroit and other places. So, I mean, I've got no problem, me, whatsoever, with overseas fans. I don't care. Listen, I don't live in Manchester anymore. I was brought up in Manchester. I don't live in Manchester. I live in Cheshire, but some of that, well, even if it's a border, whatever, or you don't live in Manchester anymore, fine, I'm not asked about that garbage. So I don't care about where fans come from. I think a lot of people get, you know, people who are old school City fans and things like that are on social media, get a bit pissed off with the, you know, people who are clearly from overseas start slagging off the club that won just because they support them. I've had no interest in going to visit them or knowing much about the history, because that a lot of that is clear within their tweets, but they haven't got a clue about the history about the club by some of the comments they make. And I think that what happens then is it generates this idea that overseas fans are fucking clueless, absolutely clueless. What do they know? What do they know? I mean, and it's the people behind those accounts that are probably not really City fans deep down. They'll follow it because City is successful. And I guarantee you, if City were gradually declining and the money went away and City were an average 12, 13 team, that account would switch to a Chelsea or a United or something. They wouldn't be still there going, come on, let's go for it. Come on, you know, we'll still come back to where we are. And things like that. They wouldn't. They simply wouldn't, because you can tell by the tweets they wouldn't. So that's what I think. That is the crux of, I think, what pisses off a lot of older school City fans who, well, it shouldn't really piss us off, because if I take my thing, we shouldn't really be bothered what people say on Twitter, really. But I think a lot of those accounts are just following City because we're successful at the end of the day, and that's a shame. It is a shame, because, as we know this week, we have got history, amazing history, regardless of what other fans might say.
You know what happened this week, guys, with Sheikh buying the first FA Cup that we actually won. A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people had no clue. It was a shock. It was a shock to a lot of people. I mean, a terrific shock to them. They were stunned by that fact, because they thought, well, I mean, you talk about the first, you know, we won the European Cup Winners' Cup. People don't know that. Oh, you've never won a European Cup. They don't know.
But the thing is, should we as fans have to justify our history to? And this is the thing. It's like, well, I mean, let's face it. I can't remember who it was. Who won it in 1901? Was it Preston? Something like, I can't remember. But it's like their fans going, well, hold on a minute. We won it 3 years before you, so we've got miles more history than you. It's like a nonsensical argument. It's like, yeah, well done. We most older City fans or football fans, even United fans, whatever, know that the likes of a Preston and all of these teams, Everton and other, you know, I've got going back to the 1880s. So it's just a nonsensical argument, but you know, it just, people get wrapped up in this garbage, nonsense.
Absolutely.
I mean, I get both. I love the fact City are growing as a global fan base, and I love the fact that we've got fans from all over the country, the world. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. What upsets me is a little bit, and I'll come to Chris on this in a minute, is I get, you know, when I've said it here, I'm not bothered if we don't win trophies. I don't give two rat's asses if we win trophies. I wasn't a City fan for trophies, never have been, never will be. I'm a City fan because I loved them. Like I said, I'd watch them. Yes. You know, if they were playing on the back field behind me, I'd watch them. Couldn't give a damn, you know, trophies-wise and others. But there are fans, you know, why Andy jokes and I've joked with Chris, call them the FIFA generation, because it's all about, whoa, I won this and we won that. And And you see it on air, and you see it on other channels, and you see it on social media. We're not 4-0 up and we haven't beat a team. It's World War III, and it's we're crap and Pep out and him this and him that. And we're halfway down the league. And who gives a damn if you support the club, whether you're from Algeria, Africa, wherever, you support the club, don't you? Chris, am I wrong?
No, not at all, mate. I mean, just coming back to the original question, Martin, about how City fans are viewed even in this country, right? So I left home at 18 and I went down south. And anybody who said, now down south, the football's not like it is up north. There are people down there who love the football, don't get me wrong, but more people don't talk about football, not like up north where nearly everyone's got an opinion. But, when people's asked which team do you support and they say Man City, when I was 18, it was like, oh, all right, okay. And it was always viewed as a sort of, we've always been a big club, but, down there is, I'm not joking, in London especially, there's more people who support Manchester United than there are people who support Chelsea or an Arsenal or Spurs, they're huge down there. Cockney Reds are just unbelievable. But, things have changed massively. But I remember when Abramovich went in at Chelsea, I know, right? I was fairly jealous of Chelsea, to hit a jackpot like that. And then they started challenging because, Chelsea had their bad times as well.
Yeah.
But I never turned around to them and said, you're a bunch of cheats, you're a bunch of plastics and all the sort of stuff that we get thrown at us. I find it bizarre. Yeah. I
think you've hit the nail on the head there, Chris. I mean, and maybe times have changed since the Chelsea takeover with Abramovich, but I don't remember. Maybe we did, and maybe social media wasn't as.
Andy,
I don't remember people going Chelsea this, that, and the other. I just don't. It was like, right, they've got some money, they spent it, blah blah blah. Move on.
Well, the most offensive thing you ever heard about Chelsea was they were called Chelsea. That there was nothing else really that was overly offensive, And I just think other than the traditional ones,
red boys and all that.
Yeah, I wasn't going down that road, but you've gone down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only saying what they were referred to.
I think you must be very old because Andy's about 65, mate.
I remember the 2012 Champions League final, Chelsea versus Bayern Munich, going to my friend's house, who's a Chelsea fan, sitting down there celebrating with him for him winning the Champions League on behalf of an English club.
Well, don't get me wrong, Carl. I never really wished them any well. They weren't a very particularly nice fan base, But nowadays, if you say you're a City fan, people look at you with like a bit of suspicion when you start supporting them. You know what I mean? And then you go through my brain too, that you talking to, do you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. But if you're asking me, how we're seen abroad, mate, I am to travelling, right? What Stevie Wonder is to interior design. I haven't got a clue, mate, about what's going over there. But I do understand, like Andy bringing up the US sports stuff because I love my sport. And in the 80s, when Channel 4 started showing American football, I got into it, but we only ever got the highlights. It was when they showed the full match, I thought, Jesus, that's slow. Do you know what I mean? And my kind of opinion changed. But whereas baseball, right, which is probably even slower, I don't know, something about baseball, it just floats my boat. It's all the statistics, all that kind of stuff. And as is usual with me, Cleveland Indians haven't won the World Series since '48. They're but I have taken the time to try and learn, about their history and but I'll never get all the nuances of somebody who lives in Cleveland, obviously, So I think you can do all you can to learn about a club. I just think it is, difficult to have, experience what we experienced in the 90s, especially.
Absolutely.
Because I know at the start of the 90s, I always thought we had a decent team. I don't know about you, Andy. When we had, Rosler and Quinn and Walsh. And
the City team.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about baseball. I'm thinking.
No. About
basketball. I was always a Bulls fan with basketball.
I never got into basketball.
Yeah.
But
so,
I
love
that team.
Yeah.
But this is
a great team to watch.
This is like the mid-90s. By the end of the 90s, We've gone. You know, it was cock up after cock up after cock up.
Yeah.
You know, obviously City didn't keep up with the Joneses when, you know, like United just, you know, became a global, you know, huge name. They've always been a big name, but we just weren't ran very well, and we just cocked everything up. We were too good to go down, apparently, but we weren't. It was just a weird time, and all the time the Premier League is growing, we were getting further away from it until Joe Royal sort of changed things and turned things around.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about global appeal. When was I last in Myanmar? I think it was last year. Once I was doing a vlog from there. A couple of years earlier, I'd been there and I was looking for City shirts, and I was thinking, wonder if there's any replicas and things like that I can buy. You know, you know what it's like when you go over there. There must be something that you can buy for the kids and things. Nothing, not a thing. It was all Liverpool, United, Chelsea, whatever. And last year when I was there, hey, they didn't have one, but then the guy came and said, I've got one, and it actually gone and got a City shirt. It wasn't the latest one. It was one from about, God knows, about 3 years ago. I went.
Interesting you say that. As you all know, I went to Tenerife last year. Not one City shirt, even in Tenerife.
Yeah.
Not one. And that's not even far away. That's 3.5 hours on a plane.
Well, I think Kian says in Vancouver, City shirts for sale everywhere now in Canada. I expect to see our merchandise in every store I'm going.
I mean, Andy, over here, I walk to the grocery store and see people with City shirts. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about, I think it was Thanksgiving. I walked to the store to get some coffee, saw a guy with a City shirt, pumped fists, and walked on. Didn't even ask him his name. So it's growing.
Let me ask you. I'm gonna stick the cat amongst the pigeons here with this one, but I don't care. City fans have always said we hated United and Liverpool for what they were, bragging about this, and they had to win every game and everything else. Do you think we've become? Some fans, not every fan, some have, most have. I don't. Depends how you view it. Have we become what we hated? In terms of, so if we don't win, the toys are out the pram, and we've got to win a league, and we've got to win this, and we've got to win a European Cup, and we've got to do, or everything's a failure. I remember, I know it's going back, and maybe it's me and my old age. 20 years ago, we sang at Main Road on the night we got to the Wembley playoff final. Excuse my language here, and you can bleep me out. We sang, you can stick your treble up your ass to Man United, and that's where we were with it. We did not care.
But are you talking to me and Chris?
No, I'm talking. I'm talking in general. I'm talking in general because me and Carl have had a chat on Twitter, and Carl is quite open with things, and it's absolutely. You might be different. I've got my dad is 81 years old, or nearly 81, and he loves the trophies, and he's all, I love being able to rub it to all my Man United mates now, and he's all for the revenge and everything else. I'm like, Dad, but you hated all that. And he went, yeah, but I love it.
I think it depends on where you started your City journey from. Right. For some people, their journey started in 2012. Right. All they've known is trophies. And the reason they joined the club, because it's a rising club globally and they're winning trophies and they want to stick it to their friends who support United and Liverpool. They lose to United and Liverpool, it really hurts them. And they can't stick it to them. Some people are like that. Some people are okay, we expect to win. But if we don't win, okay, it's okay. It's okay. We'll try again. I'm one of those people who feel like I'd like us to win, but if we don't win, well, we'll try again next year. We'll learn from the mistakes. We'll try again. But there are some fans where if they don't win 6-0, it's disaster, right? We talked about the Birmingham game.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody asked me what the score I want. I said 1-0. Get through. Get through. Go to the next round. Some people said the second half was shit. Some people said the second half was shit. They said second half was crap. We were terrible. We were this. Why did that play KDB? Don't care. 1-0. Move on.
Well, I said that. I said why did Pep play KDB? I was one of them.
Martin, on to the question. I just think that nearly every City fan I know, and I guess they are a little bit older than because they're my generation, but nearly every one of them's a well-rounded pessimist, mate. And that's all I can say about them, But that is because of everything that we went through in the 90s. You can't make it up what happened then. Yeah. And it could all go south tomorrow, and we'd be like, well, that's just what happens at City. That's the roller coaster.
And Chris,
sorry,
Chris,
go on.
I think your perspective is the perspective that a lot of new fans need to learn, and I'm learning. I'm learning that perspective. That's why I ask the questions. That's why I seek to understand. Why do you think this way? Now I'm getting to understand that, and I make jokes about it sometimes, right? But it's hard to
I get that. And when you said when we had that short Twitter, and I said, look, just being irrational is part of being a City fan. It's just what it is.
And you're proven right. Leon, this is Leon, right? Champions League, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tottenham, Champions League, right?
If you think about it, and I've recalled this story before, but you remember when we were 2-0 up against United and we got beat 3-2 to win the title. I mean, of all days, and I was walking out the South Stand, walking down the stairs from level 3. And I was chatting to a few Blues, and you would expect on a day when we could have won the title against our arch rivals there and then, and really rubbed it in, and we got beat 3-2. You'd expect everybody to be, and they were laughing. They were laughing and joking and everything else. And I was turning to one old chap, and I was chatting to him as we were walking down the stairs, and he went, "My beautiful mistress has just returned to me." A long time like that, and he went, "She's always been there and always will be." And he was absolutely spot on. That's typical City. That is all the day. We knew we'd go on and still win the title, but that is just being an old school City fan. And we laughed all the way down the 3.
Sorry, Kat, I disagree with this. Andy Allen's put. Let's be honest, should be winning. Why should we be winning?
No,
there's no entitlement to win a trophy at any point, no matter how much money you've got. Man United spend 200 million every bloody window, and they don't win jack. Money does not mean you win. You're not entitled. That's a little bit of my point, Andy. And I know you're a big fan. But when is this? We're not entitled to do anything.
Nope.
Andy, I want to expound on what you just talked about now. I think what you mentioned, my mistress has come home, is what makes City different from every other club. That sense of self jeopardy, that sense of, it's just a game, we'll try again.
Self-flagellation. We love it.
It's what makes the club different. That's what I'm learning. And begin to learn that, maybe this is the way to inoculate myself. So when it happens, just move on to the next game. It's all part of being a City fan. And I think if we are, as fans, if we are new fans, if we learn that, I think our mental state will be much more healthy. When we collaborate, when we talk, when we communicate, will be much more healthy overall.
Well, I mean, another point on that, as a classic example, is remember when we got knocked out by Spurs 4-3 in the Champions League. Now, if you go back on mcfcfantv and watch the interviews I did with fans after the game, they were just, what a brilliant game of football.
It was, Andy.
It was, and they weren't laughing. Of course, we wanted to go through. Of course, we were frustrated. But the humour that was within the fans and everything else, and the appreciation for an amazing game of football, it was just brilliant. Absolutely. The interviews were amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Don't like me.
That game sticks in my memory as well, Andy, because it had everything. The atmosphere was fantastic at the Etihad. And the game itself was just so, seesaw. And I remember walking down. I think I was in the South Stand on level 3 as well with my lad, who I don't usually take to evening matches, but because of what it was, I took him. And it must have been in a school holidays maybe. But I remember coming out, and he was happy because we'd won. but he didn't really get into his head that we'd gone out on aggregate.
Yeah.
And he, you know, it was just a brilliant game of football. And yeah, at the end of it, we came out on the wrong side of it. But if you can't appreciate what you've just witnessed, then you don't like football. You're in it for a different reason, you know.
I'm going to.
I guarantee if that was some other clubs, and I was doing a fan channel for some of the clubs, I guarantee you some of the reactions would have been completely different. It would have been attack the manager, the players, the City fans. On the whole, there were one or two, but on the whole, we're just going, that's City. We were robbed. We were whatever. But what a game of football I've just witnessed. And to a man and a woman.
I remember that game, Andy. I was disappointed that we didn't get through, but I was satisfied with the performance that day. I remember.
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of the best games I've seen. It was one of the best games I've been in a stadium and watched. It was so exciting. I'm frustrated.
I mean, I remember which to me, maybe the one thing that always stands out in my head. We played Arsenal at Main Road, and we were 4-0 down after 20 minutes. And they still had Henry, Petit, and Overmars, and everyone else sat on the bench.
They're clapping up and everything, but you're going back quite a long time there.
I know
talking about
later,
recent.
That's where it's come from is because we've always appreciated the good football. What other team would clap a team off 4-0 down at half time? They wouldn't do it. Maybe everything else scream for.
They were the team who were challenging United, weren't they? So we wanted them to sort of beat United. I mean, we don't want to get beat 4-0, don't get me wrong.
Come on, Martin, the club has changed. You need to embrace. I have embraced it, but I've always, in my head, I always remember this. One day if the Sheikh goes, or ever goes, I'm not going to leave. If things go south again, I'm not going to. I do embrace it, but and it's great, and I'm enjoying the ride. But maybe there is still a little part of pessimism.
Do you think if you've invested so many decades in the club, it's harder to leave than somebody who's, I don't know, maybe Carl is the person.
I think there's no, if we get relegated, there's no way I can support another club. It's not possible. Invested too much time, effort. I look like an idiot, frankly. Can't. There's just no way. You just have to support the club through and through, and hopefully get back to where they were before. It's just not possible. There's nothing worse than a fair weather friend.
You cheeky sod. Kiam here. Man's a proper glory hunter. You can tell by the way he plays FIFA, no passion for his shirt. Yeah. Listen, I've made a signing on FIFA. Kylian Mbappe now plays for Manchester City. I took a page out of your book, Kiam, and gone and signed him. Right, let's move it on. We've got final question. And really, general one. Do City fans or do the older City fans need to enhance or embrace the future more? This slots into what Alan just said. So do the older fans need to embrace the future more and always cherish the past, but realise we are now a different club or that is very, very organised? Or are the scars simply too deep? But also, do the younger fans need to respect the past and move on and not just look at City as a takeover club from 2008? Basically, do we need to try and find a nice balance between the old and the new and just maybe respect each other's opinions, really? And we all support the same club.
Yeah, I said that. Respect the past, embrace the future. I don't expect all City fans to embrace the future as wildly and as optimistic as I do. I don't expect it because they're not going to, right? It's in their DNA. It's who they are. Can't change that. But the newer fans, I don't expect them to also embrace the old ways and be somewhat pessimistic because that's not what they know. So there has to be a balance. Respect the past, embrace the future, and we move on together.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think? You think we need to find a nice happy medium between the two here?
No. We do not have to find any happy mediums. You know, everybody has a different relationship with the club, right?
Yeah.
It depends when you started supporting them, how many times you go, how passionate you are about it. I've not seen a young City fan disrespect the past ever. Never ever seen that. They just have a different relationship, you know. And I think all the older fans I know absolutely love Sheikh Mansour for what he's done for our club. There's not one of them I don't.
I love him.
You know, yeah, absolutely. I don't think there is any of that. I think we are more pessimistic than the younger guys, but that's an age thing. I think as well, you know, we've seen the bad times of City, but no, mate, I don't think there needs to be a happy medium. Just accept that we're all a bit different, even as as human beings. So
yeah,
so
why would you accept everyone's opinions and individuality? We're all individual fans at the end of the day. I mean, Alan's put here, we need to win the Champions League. Why do we? We'd maybe like to. Do we need to win it? Why is this need of winning it from? On Carl.
I don't think we need to win the Champions League. I'd like to win the Champions League. Champions League is a competition that, the best teams don't always win the Champions League. Chelsea, 2012, right? They weren't the best team in Europe. They won it.
Right, so you're the FA Cup.
Yeah, even Liverpool, when they won the Champions League, 2 years ago, weren't the best team in Europe. We beat them to the title. Yet they still won it. So anything can happen in the Champions League. You got the wrong referee decision. You got a VR decision, penalty. Anything can happen. I want to win it. I'd love for City to win it, but I'm not lost if they don't.
I think Alan is right. We win the Champions League, the pressure valve, and this constant search for our new identity will be
that
over.
I agree with. That I agree with.
Maybe it's me. I've never been out. I just can't. It's not for me. The Champions League. Maybe if we got to the final or the semi-final, I'd get a bit excited. I'd be like, right, come on. But if we never win it, it's not. It's this argument of what makes you a big club.
Well, the reality is Martin, overseas, especially here, in the US, the Champions League is regarded as the premier competition. It is. It's Champions League final days are significant here. Massive. And to think about City winning and lifting that trophy, it just changes the dynamic. It changes.
That's why. And I'm just not a loaded question. But why is it like in America or Australia or so? Why is the Champions League looked at so significant? Why is it so prestigious?
So think about in America, we have the NFL, right? You have what we call the divisions, the NFC, the AFC. You can win your division, your local league, if you want to win, right? But then at the end of the day, the Super Bowl, which is one game, right? That both the AFC champion, the NFC champion get to play. That's regarded as the title to win. One game, 4 quarters. Whoever wins it, winner takes all. Even in the MLS. So that mentality of that one big game, the champions of the entire leagues, if you would, carries so much more weight than Germany or England or Spain or France, for example. It's that one game that defines you as a champion of a region, Europe, or in NFL, the USA. So that's the mentality that I've grown up with in terms of the Champions League. It's that competition that sets you as the champion of Europe and more than likely the champion of the world because you're going to win the World Club Cup. It's the marketing. It's all the paraphernalia that surrounds it.
Yeah,
it's just 7 games. It's literally 7 games. You win 7 games, you win the Champions League.
Do you know what it is for me, Carl? I don't know about you, Chris. It's this tag of, like you just said, winning 7 games and you're the best in Europe. How can 7 games make you the best in Europe when you played some team from sort of Kazakhstan in the, that doesn't make you the best team in Europe.
Don't set the rules, Martin.
I don't get.
Yeah, I don't set the rules. That's
no. It's not big at you. I know you don't make the rules, but it's just this. It's like when Tottenham got to a final. Hang on, you're 30 odd points behind us in the league. You're not the champions of England. You're not the best in England. how the hell can you be the best in Europe when you're not the best in England? Because the last time I checked, England was in Europe.
Yeah.
That's the. I don't know about Chris. I know is the Champions League that important to you, or is it just?
No, on a personal level, it isn't, Martin. I think that boils down to the years that we had absolutely no involvement. I never thought we would really have involvement in it, and it was just boring year on year out. It was Inter Milan against Manchester United, Real Madrid against Bayern Munich. It was just the same 16 teams basically, going for it. Now for Sheikh Mansour, it's a very different thing. He wants to win it.
Yeah,
that's a huge deal for the club. That's why they brought Pep in. That's why they brought in the players that they brought in. So on that front, of course, winning the Champions League is a massive thing for the club. And I think as well, for a lot of City fans as well, it would be nice to sort of turn around to, the Nottingham Forest fans and the Aston Villa fans who seem to think they're a bigger club than us because they've won the Champions League or the European Cup as it was back then. I think that is a big thing on the sort of giving it back sort of stuff. But for me, on a personal level, I've never really enjoyed it.
Well, sorry, we're just talking the Champions League now. Is it sort of, will it change everything? Is it a trophy we have to win just to sort of, like Kiam said, get the monkey off our back and change this new identity of the club? Because like Chris just said, Sheikh Mansour's come in, all this money's gone down for one trophy, really, the Champions League. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a little bit behind the.
Is this about the club or about the fans? Because
they're about sort of Champions League. Because like Alan was saying and Kian was saying there that we've got to go for the Champions League because we want to make this new identity as a club and embrace it all. And I'm a bit like, well, I couldn't give a monkeys whether we win it or we don't really. Because to me, winning Champions League, maybe I know said to Carl because Carl said in America. The Champions League's a big thing over there. It's prestigious and it's huge. But I just asked, and I said, why was that? Because it's 7 games. You don't play the best. So I was wondering why it was so prestigious with fans over there compared to some fans over here, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
There you go, that's your opinion.
I'm not interested whether you think the Champions League is big or Chris thinks it's not or Carl thinks it's great. I've no interest in it whatsoever. Everyone's got an opinion on whether they think it's big or it's not. If it's about, is this going to impact fans and the way? Is if the question is the Champions League so important for certain sets of fans that follow Man City now compared to older school fans? Yeah, I think it is a debating point. I'm not interested in whether the Champions League is a big competition or that we need to win. I mean, it's irrelevant because everyone will have their opinion on it. I do think you do get a lot of younger fans that want in the Champions League, and I think a lot of those fans have grown up with the Champions League. Being spectacular and because it's on FIFA and it's the ultimate prize on FIFA if you play on whatever else and that type of thing. For me, I'm not interested in the Champions League one iota. If we win it, we win it. Great. I agree. It does get that thing. I've said it before. It gets that thing off your shoulder and whatever else, but it's irrelevant for me. It's just a cup competition like any other that the champions don't win. That's the problem. Champions don't enter that competition. 4 teams or 5 sometimes enter a cup competition, which, going back to my days, it's the European Cup. Only the champions of each league played for it, and that was the true champions. Nowadays, it's just a money making thing for UEFA. That's all it is, and that's fine because it brings in a lot of revenue, and you can't sniff at that because if we win it, it brings in even more revenue and blah blah blah. Now, if the question is about does it affect fans at clubs, I think definitely. That's why you see on social media a lot of the younger based fans just go constantly on about Champions League. But you'll find a lot of older school, not all, but you'll find a lot of older school fans will just go, not interested, Premier League every day of the week. So there's going to be that dynamic, and maybe that causes friction. So sorry, I missed out on what was said before.
No,
I thought we were talking about a fans change because of
I'm not going to lie. I think if we got to the semis of the final, I might be interested.
Well, of course, you'd be interested to watch it. Of course, you would. I mean, I'd watch it. I mean, there's no doubting about it.
Sorry.
But to Andy's point, I think that if you do win the Champions League, it adds more fans to the fan base. Frankly,
it does. Of course it does.
Increases the scope of the fan base with different expectations, right? It changes that. But
it does. I mean, that is the buy-off, isn't it? Do you want to be global? Do you want more and more and more fans to be there? Because what it does is generate the identity of club globally. But then what you'll have is you'll have a certain set of fan base of Manchester City or any club. It will go, I don't really care what they say. I'm not interested because they're only jumping on a bandwagon that, we've got to a Champions League and won it. Why am I interested in what they've got to say about it? I only care about what I've been following for 20, 30, 15, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. But it does, for the club, generate huge global identity across the globe, which generates more income, more sponsorships, things like that, which buys players like an Mbappe and Haaland and everyone else. So it's a catch-22 situation. It is. You can't have this massive global fan base, or do City fans just want only people who have seen City for 20 years or 25 years, or be the Jesus, we'll be back where we were at Main Road.
Yeah.
And before saying, Martin, you said much about, give me Main Road every day. Main Road was a shithole, absolute shithole. It was a great.
Maybe I'm an old romancer.
Well, no, it was a great shithole.
No, I said that. I said it was a shithole and built by.
It was awful. It was awful. But it was our club in those days.
Atmosphere though.
But it was a brilliant atmosphere. But you couldn't imagine this team playing in that stadium now.
Well, we had an L Cup.
You couldn't. You just simply couldn't. It wouldn't fit, would it? It just simply.
We had quads there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If Main Road was good enough for the great Colin Bell, it's good enough for Kerry Cady.
But you're talking about 50 years, 40 54 years ago. 50 years ago, 48 years ago, you're talking about the heydays of those. I mean, sometimes we need to leave, as fans, we need to leave that in the past. That was our great history. It was brilliant. I grew up at Main Road.
Listen, I know that one of my biggest flaws is that I hold on to.
The Etihad Stadium is a superb campus. The atmosphere is nothing like it was at Main Road. Of course it wasn't. But I mean, I know, all right, you probably got a beer quicker at Main Road than you can do at the Etihad. That's definitely one. But
it's quicker.
It'll be miles quicker. But at least you can go to the toilets without piss running all over your shoes and your Adidas trainers and whatever else.
The back of the kit packs.
Oh, the back of the kit packs are on the wall. But
the old Wembley when you did it in your seat.
I think sometimes we need to separate as older school fans. We need to separate the Main Road days, and let's face it, it's nearly 20 years since we were in. 20 years. We're 22 years. We were at Main Road. I mean, some people have been born and are now 22 years of age since we moved to what was City of Manchester Stadium, Eastlands. Yeah. I mean, it's a long time ago. We've got to sometimes disassociate it. Main Road was great, even the arms on the chest of tattoos. I mean, it was great memories, but that's
Stamford Bridge is a shithole, and we still attract some of the biggest names in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, shithole.
You've got no tell on the back of yours. Martin 8, Carl 8, Andy 10, Chris 10 as pundits.
It's I just think it's one of those, isn't it? It's like my lads never got to Main Road. They only saw it when we just moved. I think my oldest lad was 6 or 7 when I first took him, and my younger lad was 4 when we first moved to Eastlands, and that was the age. God, they both went before I first went to Main Road at 7. So they know no different. They know no different. It's not their fault that they never went to Main Road and things like that. And I think we need to sort of separate the two. Main Road was great. The atmosphere was unbelievable. But Main Road was shithole. And it is in the past, and it was great memories, and we can't blame fans for not seeing those days because of their age or their, geographical location. So it is what it is.
Carl, I've got a question to ask Carl, because Carl is one of the big reasons we've done this tonight, because Carl wanted to have this debate. Because Carl, have I converted you, Carl, after your comments on Twitter to me? Because Carl was a bit success, and
I've got a question. I've got a question for you, Carl.
Yes, sir.
If City got relegated, would you still support City?
Remember what he said to me?
Well, if we got relegated, I wouldn't change the club. I wouldn't change. What would I do? Support Chelsea? Support Arsenal? United? God forbid. I wouldn't. I can't.
There you go.
Too much. That's water under the bridge. Would I be happy? Absolutely not.
No.
I would be devastated, right? But, hopefully we get back to where we were. I won't be happy, but I won't support another club. At what age? Almost, at my age? Hell no. Now, will my kids change? Will my kids change? That would be the test.
That's
the
the right.
test.
Yeah.
I agree with that, SOS. That is absolutely.
It always has been.
Biggest,
I mean, let's face it.
It's the biggest scaffolding advertisement I've ever seen in the whole world. Has anyone got anything else they want to end on?
Yeah, I'd love just to say that, ever since I've been supporting the club, I mean, the past 2 years, I've really interacted with a lot of City fans, and I really appreciate the fans. They're patient. They take my shit, right? They give it back to me sometimes. But they're a really great fan base, a really good fan base, a welcoming fan base, a warm fan base. I really supporting the club, love talking to the fans. You guys are phenomenal, and really enjoying this journey. I really do. I'm having any other way. So.
Well, Andy Allen said, I know kids, and I know they would.
Yeah. And my kids wouldn't, but I mean, because they're a bit older now.
I don't think my lad would. I know he's only 10. I don't think my lad would. I think it's because I ram it down his throat every day. Man City, Man City, Man City, and he has a granddad who's all that. And I think, I think it's different when you're growing up with it, innit? And it's all around you, and but he does still. I'm not going to lie. He has asked for Barcelona shirts and Real Madrid shirts as well.
So my 4-year-old plays football. So whenever he plays, he's a striker, and he runs with the ball. Right? He likes to score goals. Whenever he scores a goal, he's Man City, Manchester City scores a goal. Right? He's heard it me time and time again. Hopefully, when he grows up, if we get relegated, he still becomes a City fan. We'll see.
Well, you have to force him. They've no choice in it. It's simple as that. Otherwise, you'll be arrested for child beating or something. So yeah, you have to make sure they are. It's that simple. I think this is a good point by Scott Williams. Main Road always holds special memories. That is where we got the bug, but the club had to move on, and the opportunity came up after the Commonwealth. If we hadn't moved, would the Sheikh have invested? No, maybe, but maybe have built his own stadium. But I think everything fell into place with that, didn't it?
I think with me, I was a kid. When I went through crap days, I was a kid. I was a teenager, so I think it was all.
And this comes back to this comes back full circle to the original point of have fans changed, and not just older fans, but newer fans as well. These newer fans who have invested time and effort going to games or investing time watching it incessantly and things, do they actually mix with other fans? Mm-hmm. And it's all banter about teams, or is it just happens on social media? Because if they're overseas fans, maybe football in that country isn't the number one sport, and this is the only outlet for them to banter with somebody else that they don't know, because in their school or whatever, college or whatever, wherever they are in the world, there isn't really that many people that in Premier League.
I give my perspective, Andy. So we have a group here in the US, friends of different clubs. We have a WhatsApp group, Chelsea fans, United fans, Liverpool fans. We banter each other day, noon, and night. I mean, it's terrible. You think we hate each other. Yeah. So it's and that's part of the reason why there's no way you can be a fan of a club and change allegiances. You would get bantered to death over here. So there's an
Absolutely
active.
should.
Oh, you would get killed. You couldn't show your face again. So it is active over here. There are groups that love the game, who follow a club and will follow a club forever.
You
it's even
only have to look at some of the United States, you know, the New York Sky Blues and the Detroit ones, the Chicago Blues and the Detroit Blues and, you know, the Denver Blues and everyone else. You only have to look at them. Look at the go ones with Akio that we've done the stuff with and whatever else. I mean, these guys go and watch it at like ridiculous o'clock in the morning because it's always a time for them. I mean, I know it's not great in the States, but you look at the Australian, the Melbourne Blues and everyone else, and, you know, not all of those people are from Manchester or went to Main Road or are 20-year City fans. Some of them are 10-year City fans, but they still invest tons and tons of time into the club that they love. For me, it's the social media side. I think there's a large proportion of those who are not really City fans.
I do think there's cultural differences as well, a little bit. So I remember Katrina, I told Chris this, didn't I, privately to you. So remember Katrina May, the former chief exec at Charlton. She once, when she was in Ireland doing a video thing, and she said, fans in England are very weird compared to fans abroad. And they went, what do you mean? She went, it's this, my club, get out of my club. She went, abroad, they don't say that because they're viewed as customers. It's like going to the cinema and buying a ticket.
Difference being is, that's exactly the same as Manchester City, Martin. That is no different to Manchester City. Manchester City view us and fans as customers.
No, but I meant the fans. We don't.
Don't buy
our club, don't we?
Yeah, no, but
she said she was chief exec to Charlton and said she found it very weird.
Yeah, but I think she's probably spot on with what she's saying there, because clubs themselves, most clubs themselves. I mean, I don't. There are very few. And this was one of the things on that podcast I was listening to, and it was talking about, you know, that when he said that comment about City fans, you know, were disappointed that Shape Mansour took over because, you know, we won't get those old days back. No City fan wanted to go back to the old. We wanted success. We wanted trophies. We took what we got, and it was up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Nobody knew where we were, but we still wanted trophies. You're talking anybody who in '81 went to Wembley for the Spurs FA Cup final. You're telling me they went there going, I'm not really bothered. Not really bothered. Of course we wanted to win something. Of course we did. You're investing that much time, money and effort. You wanted to win something. Yeah. But it defines us whether we won something or we didn't. But football clubs this day and age, we are customers. We are customers. When we can talk about Man City have invested all this in the local community and things like that, which is a wonderful thing, and it's amazing. But come on, you look at some of the things that have happened to fans over the last 5-10 years. We're all customers. And you know, well, here's a prime example, and this is no disrespect to overseas fans whatsoever. I was going on the BBC iPlayer website yesterday, you know, looking at the game and when's it on. My lad had it on the TV in the living room and whatever else. But I was bringing it up before he put it on the TV, and it was the we really what's the City? I don't even watch it. What's the City website blog?
We're not really here.
We're not really here, is it? That one. And Natalie's on it, and she's interviewing Dunny and interviewing who else was on it? Dunny and Andy Morrison. And they read out 5 or 6 tweets. And I don't think one of them was from a local UK-based City fan. They were all from overseas fans and things. Now, maybe no local UK fan tweeted anything to them. I find it very surprising. But no, not that I remember from just a clip I watched. None of them were UK-based fans, not by the names, not one. So that just goes to show you they're trying to appeal globally to get views and clicks, just like the media and journalists and everything else is in there. And there's nothing wrong with that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. So I'm talking about the point when you're saying that, you know, customers, we are customers.
See,
All football fans are customers. I disagree with you.
Because then it may be a customer.
Okay, all right. My point is then, go on then. Why are we not then?
A customer can, if you don't like,
why are we not?
You can change a brand. Well, when you're a football, when you support a club,
but you can just give up your season ticket.
No, I'd never do it. I couldn't do it. It's ingrained.
Well, that's your choice. But you have a choice to do that.
Right, but don't call me a customer when I don't see myself.
So what are you then? So what are you in the eyes of the club?
I'm a fan.
What are you in the eyes of the club? Not what you think you are. What are you in the eyes of the club?
Well, I'm a season ticket holder who gives them money. I know you're going to say that's a customer then.
So you're a customer. There you go. So you just answered your own question.
No, but if Morrison's don't want to give, if I'm not happy with Morrison's, I can sod off to Sainsbury's. I can't go, well, City are playing crap. My whole point is City get relegated.
Yeah, but you can.
I'll go and support
you can.
Next week.
Yeah, but you can. You can just not go and pay your season ticket if you don't.
Well, if you're not a fan then.
Like lots of Of course, it is a fan. It's just somebody who's having a
change clubs like that. It's not.
Nobody's changing clubs. They're just not paying for their season ticket. Like a lot of fans, you keep claiming, are saying on social media, that's it, I'm finished with football. I'm finished with all this COVID stuff. I'm finished with football. I'm not going back to it. If they can't play with fans in the stadium, I'm not going back to it. That doesn't mean to say they're not a City fan. They're just choosing not to support financially the club or football in general. It's nothing to do with whether they're a fan or not. They're a customer because you're paying money for something. So don't talk nonsense.
I'm not talking nonsense. Just because you don't agree with me, don't mean I'm talking nonsense.
You're talking nonsense. You just said that. All right, well, I am a customer. So you just argued against your own point.
No, I will never be. I will never be a customer in my eyes.
Exactly. So you're arguing against your point because my point was in your eyes, it's what the club thinks of you, not what you think of yourself. That was my question. It's what the clubs think of their fan base. They are customers. They don't. You might say, "I am always going to be a fan." Of course, you are. You're one of the most loyal fans I know. But that's your opinion of yourself, not how the club sees you.
Everybody has a number.
Customers nowadays. That's all they are. Otherwise, why don't they give? Why charge for City Apple Plus TV $1.99 or £1 or what? Why charge for it?
Because that's the way the world's got answered that.
All right, so the customers.
You're trying to get. Listen.
No, I'm not having a go at you.
There are customers, but I will never see myself as customer. I won't.
I never said that you would. It's nothing to do with you. Stop keep saying it. It's not about that. It's what the club sees you as a fan, not what you see yourself.
Club never used to do though, but that's another subject.
That is my point. That is my point. That is exactly my point. It's never used to be like that.
You'd have said to John Wardle, "Oh, are these customers? He'd have hit the roof with you."
When did John Wardle leave his post?
Oh, I know, 2002.
Right, so 20 years ago. This is a game. What I'm talking about. What we used to do in yesteryear. We're talking about a whole completely different thing now. Clubs these days are run as businesses. Simon Jordan makes exactly the same point. It's about business. That's all it is. That is all. They don't care as much as they used to. And whether that's right or wrong is another argument. But you might always call yourself a fan, and I'm sure you will do. So would I, so would Chris, so would whoever. But it's about what the clubs view the fans now. They don't view them as fans. They might say the word fans, but we are customers.
He's on a wind-up tonight.
He is. It's early for him, though, isn't it?
Has he always just got up, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Has anyone else got anything?
Oh, yeah. Probably. No, it's not. It's probably, 4 o'clock?
Chris?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, yeah.
That really just go back to Carl, what he's saying, about being a City fan. He chose well, right? And that's all there is to it. And I will know this, right? It's like I said right at the start, my dad was a Blackpool fan, he's a Blackpool fan, but went to watch City United. 2012, when he won the league, right? He texted me. My dad is not the soppy bloke at all, right? He's hard as nails. And he said, I am so pleased City won the league. He said they are a proper family club, and I know what he means by that, because when we were a kid, I used to get dragged to Old Trafford as well because my brother was a Red, right? And getting out of Old Trafford was like a scrum, right? The fans didn't look after each other. Trying to get on the bus, they try and shove you off. You know, you might have your brother on the bus with your dad, and they're shoving you out the road, and you're thinking, how the hell am I getting home? Never had that at Manchester City. Never had that. They always looked after the kids. They're a proper family club. And
They still do.
They still do. And it's still the same now. It's a much nicer, for want of a better term, club. You know, a great club. I agree, Andy, what you're saying about it, but for me, the club is the fans. I know we're owned by the clubs.
God, yes.
But the people who go to that stadium are still have the same ethos that we've always had. Yeah. They're nice, generally nice people, and very funny. Right? I'm not joking. Going through the bad days, going to Main Road was hilarious. Some of the comments that you get, you know, as we're getting beaten by 3-0 by Charlton or whoever, Wimbledon, you know, the humour in the stands was just worth going for that alone, you know. It's just a really, really great football club. And I don't care what all these people from, you know, on Twitter and wherever they're coming from and what they've got to say. They're Man United fans out in China or Man United fans in Manchester. Doesn't matter what they want to shout at us and say what we are. We know what we are. We're decent people, you know. Keep it throwing at us. Don't care. Come and say it to my face. You won't.
Andy Mills just said, we do have great owners, but I'd like to be viewed as a fan, not a customer. But listen, I know what Andy's saying. I do get Andy's point. I understand what he's saying.
Oh, I love that. I mean, God, I love our owners.
I know what Andy means. If I don't renew my season ticket, there's a bloody person in a line ready to go. It's my money. See you later. Ta-da. And they're not going to get it frosted. I will be honest, we debated this on a podcast about a year ago, is that, you know, I think Carl, you were on it with me when Rob used to be on the channel, if you remember, and we talked about that Carl got more information off the club than me and Rob used to get, and we were 5 minutes down the road, and Carl was thousands of miles away, and Carl was getting more emails than us off the club. So we were like, okay. So I get his point. I love the owners, but maybe it is, like I said, in my eyes, I will never be a customer. I tell you what, I wouldn't travel bloody 300 miles to go to bloody Morrison. I tell you that.
I think you slightly missed the point there, Martin. It wasn't about what you consider yourself.
No, you're saying what the club thinks.
What football owners generally, I'm not saying that our owners have not done a wonderful, wonderful job, and I appreciate everything they've done. I really do. They've been amazing. I mean,
Simon Jordan's had this argument on Talk Sport.
Football is a business. It is a business.
He had it with Robbie. Him and Robbie had this big debate when there was a lot of fan channels on. You know, do you think the club will give a monkeys about you? Do they heck? You're nothing to them. Yeah. You know, unless you had to change the name. Carl,
they were getting a lot of negativity.
I don't mind being a fan. I don't mind being a customer. I just want to engage with the club. You know, I get a lot of emails from the club, surveys, all kinds of stuff. You know, what do you think about this player? Who's the player of the season? What do you think about this jersey? What you like? What don't you like? How do we communicate? All kinds of stuff from the club.
Andy Milne, you're completely missing the whole point, mate. Maybe two of them or one of them. He's got 8 of them, so he's probably outnumbering mine. You're missing the complete missing the point, Andy Milnes.
I think Andy's saying Andy Milne. Andy is Andy on the screen is saying the club view us as customers. We as fans don't view us as customers, but the club do. Like
it's irrelevant what we do in the community. Yeah. Remember, support tackle for Manchester.
I mean, I do get Andy's point. You know, if I give up my season ticket, somebody's going to be in the queue. Another 500 people. Here's my money. I'll have your ticket.
Of course they are.
But we've got no fans apparently. Hey ho, that's why we've got a waiting list on season tickets. Go on, Chris.
I just wonder if FFP had never come about, whether this trying to grab as much money out of fans would have ever really been something to worry about.
That's a good point.
If it, would they reduce ticket prices to try and expand and make Manchester City as the big club or the bigger club in Manchester again? I know it'd be a hell of a job to do it, but would they have done it? And I think FFP has got a lot to answer for fans, because that's why ticket prices are at ridiculous levels.
Tomorrow,
and this is just to try and compete with Manchester United and Liverpool, because they've got this huge foreign fan base as well as a local fan base. Like I said, in London, it's very difficult for Manchester City because we are pretty much still a local club, so to compete with these beasts of clubs, they have to make as much money as possible from the fans, don't they?
But why would I give my ticket over? Not a cat and house chance am I giving my ticket over, mate. Not a cat and house chance, because I will be going back. That's what I think City will. I've got a chance to do when all this is over. They've got a chance to maybe do something nice to the fans and not charge a fortune on tickets. Like maybe they can do something when all this is over, and eventually we get back. I know you don't think they will, but maybe I'm just fingers crossed at this point. I never know. Has anyone got anything to finish on? Sean Kent, as far as I'm aware, I think it's tomorrow the Brighton preview might be under.
I'm not sure what time. I've got to speak to the guy. So
quite a big Brighton.
It'll be well, they've got nearly 50,000 Twitter followers.
Media.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know the guy. So I'll be contacting him tomorrow, and we'll be having a chat. I think he's working, so it'll probably be sometime tomorrow evening, I think. Who knows?
You guys are Wembley, but we can't. Listen, we will all be back together at some point, and when we get back to the Etihad, we can all put some faces to a lot of your names, hopefully. And hopefully Carl, not Alan. I'm hoping he's banned from flying out from Buddy anywhere.
Well, we know who Ming Yong is, don't we, mate?
Oh, we know who Ming Yong is, yeah. But it'd be nice to meet a lot of you. But, yeah. I was trying to thank the boys for coming on. Big thank you to Carl from Washington, Buddy.
Thank you guys for this fantastic debate. I've been looking forward to this for a while, and thank you for obliging me and making me learn more about the club. I really appreciate you guys for this.
Cheers, mate.
I will turn you into honorary Mank. Don't you worry, Carl. Stick with me, fella. Why is he laughing? Chris?
Yeah, cheers, Martin. Don't listen to him, Carl.
Chris said before we come on, we were going to be all right tonight. There was going to be no little.
Yeah, it's the end now, isn't it?
There you go, Carl. Keon says, great show. Take care, fellas. Carl, don't block me. Activist.
Don't slag off.
Jeff. There's a bit of Mank banter for you, even if Vancouver.
Thank you to Ander. Cheers, buddy.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
What do you want me to say? I don't know what else you want
you
to
know,
say.
You know how he likes his outros to be 10 minutes long.
He does, yeah.
Thank you to you all.
Come back to me in a couple of minutes. I might think of something.
And it's been a bit of a different one, but I do appreciate everyone being on. Andy's back tomorrow. I'm back on Wednesday with the watch along. I think it's a 6 o'clock kickoff.
Big game.
Brighton.
Oh, you're talking about, I was thinking tomorrow. I'm thinking.
And yeah. But guys, thank you for joining us. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely week. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday. Take care. And as always, up the Blues. Good night.